Hello, boys and girls in health coach land. Oops, there's not any boys, it's only girls. Today is dress up day. And so I thought I'd make you a little video as I go to execute all my roles in my dress up gear, when I would really rather be executing all my goals as a health coach and business coach. But I wanted to talk a little bit more about what we talked today about fear. We talked about how people do not want to feel the discomfort that they feel with fear. And as a result, they will stop pumping on the pump just before the water might be coming up, and they won't go into the area that scares them, which ironically is where success lies, isn't it? Because if you remember from the story that I told you about Darren Hardy, he went to areas where it was really, really hard to land a deal, to get a sale for real estate, or to get a contract to be able to sell real estate. Maybe, I don't know where it was, maybe it was the really, really rich people, people who had contacts, but for whatever reason they would tell people, get away from my door, go away, you piece of junk, you piece of trash, you're this, you're that. And all the guy was trying to do was trying to make a buck, right? An honest day's living doing something that had value, and maybe he was actually the best guy out there, but didn't have the contacts or whatever the case may be in order to work with these people. I don't know. But at the end of the day, people did not want to go to certain places, deal with certain people, to take the risks that were involved with the potential for failure, because they didn't like the way failure felt, right? It doesn't feel good. It creates disruption. It creates discontent. But what was interesting was that he identified it not as something scary, but instead as an opportunity. Just like, if you think about this, just like when people are in the stock market. Think about what happens in the stock market. Everybody says, oh my gosh, this is a great company, you got to invest in this company, this tech stocks, right? And so everybody gets all excited and they go put their money in. And then as soon as everybody starts saying, oh, the market's going down, it's going to crash, there's going to be another depression, there's going to be another recession, that company's going to fold, you're going to lose all your money, then everybody gets scared and they go and sell. But not Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett saw what everybody else saw to be fear and scary and risky and dangerous as opportunity that made him dance and get excited, because he knew that what was going on was an unbelievable opportunity to be able to buy valuable companies that he had been studying for really, really, really cheap. Same exact situation, different perspective. The same situation made Warren Buffett dance with joy, and it made other people scared to death and to sell their stocks at very low cost, and actually cost them money, and it made Warren Buffett a billionaire. So, well, what's the point? Well, my point is that what Darren Hardy did was he created, with his mind, with his perspective, the exact same excitement that Warren Buffett experienced, or actually created for himself as well. But anyway, Darren Hardy realized that although it felt scary to him too, although he didn't like being told you're a piece of trash too, he didn't like being told no either. It didn't feel good. But he recognized the opportunity and then faced his fear and felt it anyway, got to know his fear, and then realized that this big scary thing that made him feel so bad wasn't much of anything after all. And he actually began to like it. And he actually began to realize that this feeling that he had was this abundance of energy. It was energy. And with a little bit of a shift, that same angst, that same discomfort, that same energy that made him tense. With a little bit of a shift, felt just like excitement. And so all of a sudden, he started creating this mental shift for himself and then using this as a tool to become a multi-millionaire. Because he created the grooves in his brain with practice over time that ended up creating an association for him, a neuro-association, or a concept, as we like to call it, with these situations and excitement, because he knew that's where he was gonna break through and get the yeses. And he was seeing windows opening up because he was going to places other people were too scared to turn around and take a look at. And so what I have come to realize is that we can do the same thing. And if we have some awareness about the things that make us scared, and we realize that what we resist will persist, but what we befriend, we will transcend. Did Darren Hardy befriend a scary situation that made him feel scared too, that made him feel uncomfortable too, that made him have angst too? And if he did befriend it, then what happened to him after he befriended it? Did he still feel scared later? Did he still feel angst later? Or did he feel something else? And so is that what happens when we stop running away from the things that make us feel like this or feel like that, and instead turn toward it, face it, take a look at it, invite it to come over, invite it to sit down and say, hey, who are you? What are you doing here? I'm not mad at you, just come over here. You know, if you're going to be impacting my life and my decisions and my actions and my family's future, my family's productivity and ability to really have what we all want in our lives, I want to know who you are. I want to know what you are. I want to be able to make an informed decision about whether or not I really need to be running away from you. So let me get to know you. Come over here, sit down. What are you all about? Right? And so if what we befriend, we will transcend. And we turn and we take a look at, what am I resisting the most? And is that what is representative of my greatest opportunity? My children's greatest opportunity? My family's greatest opportunity? My life's greatest opportunity? Because if it is, and what's going to happen to us when we go over and we sit in it and we feel it. We feel the fear and we do it anyway. We feel the discomfort and we do it anyway. We push through the no's or the whatever it is that we're afraid of. The opinion. What are people going to think? Or what if they tell me no? What if I fail? I don't like the way that feels. If we push through that and realize, hey, you know what? It's not that big of a deal. As a matter of fact, oh my God, it's the greatest opportunity I've ever had in my life. Then do we want to spend months, weeks, years, decades running away from a phantom? Or do we want to get to know it and befriend it and transcend it, and then teach other people how to do the same to create their best lives? So I'll leave you with one last story. You've heard me say it before, I think. But there was a master, and he was in a temple. And he left the temple with his guide. He was going to see a new place, and the guide was bringing him around. And he turned around when he heard these really ferocious sounding dogs barking. And he turned, looked at the dogs. The dogs were on these big, thick, heavy chains, and they were pulling on the chains, and the chains were stretched out. Their front paws were off the ground. They were standing up on their heels at the full capacity, as close to him as they could get, but they were chained down. Well, they turned around and continued walking, and the dogs continued barking, and the dogs sounded like just a little bit closer, and then just a little bit closer, to the point at which they both turned around again, and they saw that the dogs had broken free of the chains and were coming directly after them. And so the master watched as his guide took off as fast as he could, and the master in turn turned directly towards the dogs and began running as fast as he could towards the dogs. And the dogs were running towards him, and he was running towards the dogs, and the dogs were expecting him to turn and run, because that's what dogs expect when they start chasing somebody, right? And it disrupted what was going on with the dogs in their minds, and the dogs actually stopped and turned and started running away from the master. And so I invite you to turn and face your fears, to run towards them as fast as you possibly can, and to find the opportunity and find out if that opportunity is possibly, actually likely, the greatest opportunity that exists in your life. I love you guys. I hope that our conversation today on the phone was helpful, and I hope that this serves you in some way. Have a great day. I'm back to dress up. Bye.